Heavy spoilers for chapter 1088, but this chapter is crazy. So this chapter was basically the payoff for a lot of the setup that happened last chapter. Koby kind of got his redemption after kind of disappointing everybody last chapter, you know. He was pretty strong this chapter, and we got to see him fight. We got a little bit of taste of something, which I'll talk about later. Saw Helmeppo getting busy too. Helmeppo was nice for sure. You know, everybody that was doubting Koby after last chapter definitely is eating their words now. So the big question is, does Koby have Conqueror's Haki? It's hard to tell. I mean, I'm leaning towards yes, because, you know, he's following right in Garp's footsteps. With the battleship bags, he's wrapping his hands in bandages all the time because he's fighting a lot. He's wrapping his hands in bandages because he's training 100 to 200 times more than the average person, because, you know, he's not a fighter by heart. That was his words. See, the thing with Kuzan, I'm not sure with Kuzan, because I don't know if he's really ready to kill Garp. I don't know if Garp is gonna die. It said his status was unknown. They kind of released a little news reporting thing about the status of Garp, and everybody's calling Koby the young hero now. So obviously Garp the hero, Koby the young hero. There's similarities there. Koby was going at the battleship bags just like Garp was. Garp and Kuzan, that training. Yeah, so that was huge setup for this chapter. So yeah, in the panel where Kuzan said, and here I was just being worried about you. And we can see the black lines over his face, which is, you know, Oda usually signifies that as he's hiding something or he's worried. He's not just ready to kill Garp here. Kuzan definitely has a little bit of emotion left. I don't know if his motives are still unclear. Everybody's kind of made assumptions that, you know, he's trying to take down the celestial dragons and all this, but it's still very unclear, and I think this chapter makes it even more unclear. So yeah, Koby took down the hand the size of a mountain, as they kept saying. His attack was Honesty Impact, which I don't know about that name, but I mean, I guess it fits Koby. And I think last chapter, them saying that last chapter, I forget who it was. It was the guy who does the bounties, but he said that Garp and Aokiji, they weren't born like this. They had to work hard for this power in the battleship bags when they were punching the battleships, they were leaving dents, and Koby was doing the same thing in this chapter. We could see it, and I think that just goes to show that he's very much so following in the footsteps of Garp. And, you know, I was thinking, I think Garp, before this chapter, I was thinking Garp was probably stronger than Koby was at his age, because Koby's, about 18 now? But, you know, who knows, since they said that, Garp at 18, we haven't seen Garp at 18. The youngest we've seen Garp is probably, like, in his 30s or 40s. You know, in that, like, flashback of God Valley, which we haven't gotten yet, but we've gotten pictures of it. And if Koby does have Conqueror's Haki, then the sky's the limit for him. I mean, that was a crazy attack. These impact attacks are nuts. They're like, we see in the last panel, we see a big chunk of ice that Aokiji made right through Garp's chest, and Garp looks really weak. Garp looks like he's smiling because, you know, and Garp is smiling because he's just happy for the future of the Marines, as he says, and Aokiji just looks dead inside. Aokiji looks like he just doesn't want to do this. He doesn't look satisfied right now. I mean, he hasn't looked satisfied, like, at any point in the series. But yeah, Aokiji just doesn't look satisfied at all. And Garp is just smiling, even though there's a huge chunk of ice going straight through his chest. Garp's status is currently unknown. I'm happy that Koby got his redemption this chapter, because after last chapter, it kind of put a sour taste in a lot of readers' mouths, because, you know, he fell for that stupid trap, and now he just seems like he's about business. And even though he didn't really believe in himself that much, Garp did, and Garp making his sacrifice now will probably result in Koby believing in himself a lot more, because now that he doesn't have Garp there around, at least for now, he's going to have that drive to do things on his own because he's not going to have that support system of Garp always being there for him. So I think if Garp does die here, this will definitely make Koby a whole lot stronger. And Koby was... There's a difference between getting stronger and now Koby... Like, we can say Koby is strong. Koby wasn't really considered strong before. I mean, he was a lot stronger than he was in retrospect when we saw him, you know, in, like, the beginning of Wano and when we saw him in, like, the Reverie and pre-time skip around Ennie's lobby. He was stronger than he was when we first saw him, but he was like a little kid when he wasn't anything when we first saw him. So that was in like retrospect. But now we can honestly say he's strong. That punch, that honesty impact destroyed the arm of Hachino's, destroyed Pizarro's arm. And that's a feat. That's not something that you can just brush past and say that he was just fighting, you know? That was a big feat. Dialogue at the end here makes it seem like we're on our way back to Egghead. We're going to see what the Straw Hats are doing. Because, you know, they said on the news report that the Marines were heading to Egghead. More specifically, Kizaru. Because we heard before that he was going there, and we see a whole bunch of ships on their way. This is going to be interesting to see. Is Kizaru going to fight Luffy? Is that going to happen? I think they're probably equal right now, which is crazy to think because the last time they saw each other was in... The last time Kizaru and Luffy saw each other was at Sabaody, and Kizaru didn't even fight Luffy in them. He just went straight to Rayleigh, who, you know, he was pretty even with, but at this point, Rayleigh was just kind of holding them off. Rayleigh was just kind of holding Kizaru off because he knew he couldn't beat him. But at this point, Luffy and Kizaru might be pretty even. We haven't seen Kizaru fight in a long time, so we don't really know. But I'd say they're pretty even right now. But I don't know if we're gonna see a fight from them two together. We'll have to see. The manga is on break next week, so we'll have to wait until I guess the beginning of August to August 2nd, maybe it would be, to get a new chapter. But as of right now, I like where we're at. I think these past two chapters were really good to come back from that 5-week break because Oda's eye surgery. All in all, it was nice to get to see Koby back before he, you know, had that big transformation when we saw him at Post Ennie's lobby. It was nice to see him back in that, you know, that weak little form, and he was training his ass off. I mean, he was going hard every single day, even when Garp wasn't looking. He wasn't just doing it for Garp to see him training hard. He was doing it because he wanted to be like the level of Garp. He wanted to be the type of Marine that helps people, and he wanted to not be... The whole thing with Koby becoming an admiral, I wonder if his dream has changed since then, because now he knows more about what the admirals really are like, and the fact that Garp was never an admiral because he never wanted to, you know, bow down to the celestial dragons. I think Koby might follow in those same footsteps.